Hey everybody, this is Jordan from the Knights of Knee. Today we're going to take a look at the Big Mech with a Kustom Force Field. He was an index-only unit for quite some time in 8th edition. He didn't make it over to the Codex. Instead we had the Mega Armor version of him. And then with Saga of the Beast, we got him back, which is fantastic. And I was very surprised because the White Dwarf that came out for that, I think it was 454, it could be a different number, but it's around there. It actually included a little tutorial for how to build one of your own, I guess, if you had a couple spare kits. And I think in that example they used flash kit legs and knob upper body, some flash kit heads and body pieces, and then the Kustom Force Field. It was interesting because they just glue it on his shoulder pads, which is an interesting take. I used a different model. I used one of the models from the Luda kit because it comes with some Big Mech eccentric pieces that you can combo together, and it looks a little bit better. So you'll be able to see that when you watch this video too. Let's talk a little strategy. The biggest thing that I can see is when you look at Saga of the Beast and you look at the new Psychic Awakening that we got, you really want to be like, yes, look at this dude, he's awesome. He gives me that 5+ invul save if you're wholly within 9 inches. Super important for Army. One of the only ways to get invul save actually is from Kustom Force Fields. So the cheaper they are and the more you can take, the better. The downside to the Saga of the Beast was there's a little bit of a trap. When you look at it, for one command point, you can give him the Cleverest Boss, and it gets him an extra wound and attack, and it changes his weapon skill to 2 up. Super awesome if it was on the other version, the one in the Mega Armor, because he has a claw, he has access to different weapons. The Warlord traits just benefit him more. Giving it to the Big Mech with the KFF just on foot like he is here is terrible, because he can't change out his weapons. He's always going to have that Slugga and Joppa. And if you give him the right ones, giving him 5 attacks with the Warlord trait, hitting on 2s with a Choppa it's nothing special. I wouldn't do it. It's just a waste of a command point when you could either save that point for something later, or maybe just give it to somebody else, or give it to another Big Mech. It also comes with that other one for the War Boss, but we'll get there in a different video. As far as taking this, what you want to do is put him near your vehicles or your very important units that you want to survive, like Ludas, or I think it'd be better if you protected your Ludas probably with Gretchen and him than just him by himself. But you could also put him either in a vehicle, and it will give that vehicle the KFF, or you could put him near your mech guns. It just depends what kind of list you're playing. But he's really in a support role. He's still an orc, but you don't want to have to use him in combat. You can if you want. He's probably going to get chewed up. He does have 5 wounds, which is nice. You can give him a Grot Oiler, so he kind of has 6 wounds, which is super nice. But you want him to be running around with your vehicles, maybe with a Gorka Morkanaut, just following it so he can repair it since he'll be outside of it. Probably not so much the Morkanaut, because you could give the Morkanaut a Kustom Force Field for 20 points rather than buy him. With the Grot Oiler, he comes in at around 80 points, 4 power level, if you like to play power level games. I think that's a nice seated position. I'm really glad to see him come back. I wish that they had left the option to change his weapons and change his Choppa and his Slugga out for something else, because that was a lot of the fun, was being able to customize your own Big Mech and have them all sorts of crazy guns, like the custom Mega Blaster. Maybe you did want to give him a Power Claw. That would have been a really neat transition to see GW come back to letting us customize and custom build a lot of things, whereas today everything's cookie cutter. But maybe this is a step in the right direction. Maybe they're going to go back to that. I'm really hoping. I know I usually didn't take a Kustom Force Field in most of my lists, but now that I have him back for 80 points, he's one of the cheapest characters. I probably will use it a lot more, especially since I like to be playing, as of recently, I'll be playing a lot of Grot Army lists with tons of Killicans and a few Smash-A-Guns. He's going to be a real floater for me. He can go pretty much anywhere. And that's what I want to see out of a lot of orc things, is our faction is so esoterically focused around character strengths, and this is one of the only ones that's like a character that buffs everybody around him that isn't made to fight. Most of our other characters can fight, except for like the Weird Boy. Most of the other characters can get in there, and then you want to punch things with them. And this is interesting to see a choice where you don't want him to be in the front lines, and instead you want to hide him away. It's super good, though. If you haven't played with one, proxy one, see if you like it. You probably will. I honestly think you will. Well, hey, everybody, thanks for stopping in. We'll see you soon.